All right, so let's start this broadcast with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour. A Trident missile test that was launched by the British nuclear submarine misfired. This is a nuclear missile during its test that has misfired and then crashed into the ocean. The incident happened last month. And this is not the first time that this has happened, but because this is in fact the second misfire of the Trident nuclear missile by the British since 2016 in an embarrassing blow for the British Navy's capability. Now, Trident is the name of Britain's system of nuclear weapons. It includes submarines, missiles and warheads. The misfire took place on board HMS Vanguard in the month of January. Embarrassingly enough, in the presence of the First Sea Lord, Admiral Sir Ben Kay, and also the Defence Secretary Grant Sharps, who were on board at the time that this extremely embarrassing incident happened. Now, according to reports in the British media that had first reported the story, the missile that was armed with a dummy warhead was propelled with compressed gas in its launch tubes. But the first stage boosters did not ignite and the weapon then crashed into the sea. Now, the Sun has also reported that it was understood that the launch would have been successful had it been a real mission and not a test. This is the explanation that is now being put forth for the failure of a test of a nuclear missile by the British Navy. Now, the British ministers are expected to make a statement about the incident in the House of Commons. The United Kingdom's Ministry of Defence has confirmed that this incident did in fact take place in a drill involving HMS Vanguard. A spokesperson has also insisted that the nuclear deterrent, the cornerstone of United Kingdom's defences, is safe, secure and effective. The United Kingdom's Navy's forthcoming Dreadnought-class submarine will equip the Trident D5 as it enters into its service in early 2030s. But the UK Navy plans on deploying 2 Dreadnought-class submarines. Now, Britain's Navy is no more as powerful as it once used to be, and that's a very serious problem for allies like the United States. Traditionally, Britain's Royal Navy has been the US's closest partner. The two have fought together against many enemies. Therefore, the weakening of the British Royal Navy also erodes Washington's naval power. Now, experts say that this is a navy that Britain can barely patrol its own waters with. The United Kingdom's Navy has very few surface ships and submarines, limited offensive capabilities, budget restrictions and also delayed procurement challenges. There are also issues with the speed of maintenance and the retiring support ships without replacements. The lack of lethality of the existing ships is another significant problem. The Royal Navy that once ruled the waves can now barely keep its carriers operational, and some say that the Royal Navy could in fact be at an unrecoverable tipping point given its severe loss of skills and also institutional knowledge.
Attention on the upper deck. Place port and salute Japanese warship Asagi.
So as things stand at this point of time, nothing, it appears, will arrest the decline in such a scenario, even if greater amount of resources are available in the future. And we earlier spoke with Mr. Greg Swanson, who joined us live from London. He is in fact an international affairs expert. Listening to what he had to say on this issue.
Yes, I think it's more of the second part of your comment. It's just an indication of the lack of credible commitments to keeping the Navy in Tier 1 form. And whereas I don't think the failure of this particular Trident missile, and as you know, it happened previously in Theresa May's administration a few years ago. I don't think that's in itself a big problem. I think, this was just, an unfortunate mishap, but I think it points to the bigger issues, which they'll be addressing in the House of Commons today. And it's not just the Navy, it's also the Army. In 1989, when the Berlin Wall fell, there were 153,000 British soldiers in the Army. Tony Blair brought it down to 110,000. David Cameron, this is both parties. David Cameron brought it to 87,000, and now he's the current foreign minister. And then the plan is to get it down to 82,000. And many expect it's really realistically, it will be closer to 70,000. So, this is not a good moment for both the Navy and the Army. And the other point you made, which is really important, is the relationship with the U.S. Navy. And unfortunately, the United States is going through the same problem. They're shrinking their fleet to it'll be down to 286 ships by 2025, by next year, while the Chinese are ramping up to well over 400 ships. So this is a problem for both the U.S. and the U.K. I don't think the U.K. necessarily has a lock on this. Yes, they need to, I think, upgrade the Navy, make a bigger commitment to it. But this is a problem for both the U.S. and the U.K.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.